Hello, this is Randy. Welcome back to Brain Break with Randy and KeithO. Again, just me. Wanted to tell you one of my stories. I Years ago, when my wife and I first moved to El Paso, I was a young man just out of school. I was married. I had a 2-year-old daughter, and when I got there, somebody decided I needed to be a missionary for my church, and I wasn't adverse to that. I just didn't know if I had the time for it. And so I was assigned to do what we called home teaching, which were visits in the home of members. In this case, it was part member families where one spouse or the other, or some of the children, had been baptized and were members of the church. I had a fairly large assignment, and I kept saying I was going to get to it, and I never did. So the leader I had called for a report about 8:30 on the last day of the month, and I had to tell him, I said, Gary, I didn't get to it. I'm sorry. I'll do better next month, which I assumed was a fairly reasonable answer. He says, well, I'll be down there in a minute. Well, I was ready for bed. He showed up in a white shirt and tie and said, come on, let's go, get dressed. And I said, where are we going? He says, we're going to do your home teaching. Well, to make a long story short, we did my home teaching that night, even though we were knocking on doors past midnight. And I learned a big lesson because the 12 families we went to see, yes, 12, were visited that month. They were visited every month thereafter until I no longer had that assignment. Gary hadn't wanted to embarrass me, but he also wanted to complete the assignment we had received. And he couldn't do it without me. Now, he has been a good friend for years. He looked out for me, knowing that I was a young man away from home for the first time. But he also wanted to teach me what my priesthood responsibilities were, what my responsibilities were to my ward, my congregation. And part of that was looking out for the members, whether they came or not. And most of these folks, I'll be honest with you, didn't come. But after that, in my humiliation, which to me it was a humiliation, we saw some changes. These are people that wanted to learn more about the church and what it could mean for them. They just wanted the right people to present it to them. And so I'm very grateful to Gary for him making sure that I learned what true ministering was, and that was to see people and not just drive by and wave, but to actually go see them, make sure they were doing okay, and if not, help them do better and be better. And I'm grateful to you, Gary. You may never see this, but I hope you do. Grateful for the time you spent teaching me, and even though that was not a comfortable thing for you to do, you did the right thing. Thank you, and I again thank you for joining me for Brain Break with Randy. Please like and subscribe, and if you can, tell your friends and family about us.